My name is Lena McFarlane, and I'll be emceeing for today. We're here today as the Justice for Deepan Support Committee on September 18th, 2013, to highlight the plight of Deepan Budlakoti, an Ottawa-born man who is facing deportation to India, a country he has never lived in and has no citizenship. We are here today with support from the Canadian Trade Union, Unifor, and legal counsel Peter Stieda and Yavar Hamid, to bring attention to recent critical developments in the legal battle of Deepan Budlakoti and that validates his status as a Canadian and confirms his citizenship. We will also be personally delivering letters today to call on the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, Alexander, and the Minister of Public Safety, Deepan Blaney, to intervene to stop the deportation and reinstate the citizenship of Deepan Budlakoti immediately. First, I would like to acknowledge the unceded Algonquin land we are on. We have 4 speakers today. We will have Deepan Budlakoti speaking about his story, Peter Stieda from legal counsel speaking about the new groundbreaking evidence in his case, Harry Gadban, Eastern Ontario Director for the Canadian Trade Union, Unifor, to speak about solidarity from workers and unions, and Stan Kupferschmidt from the Support Committee to speak about the systemic, racist, and unjust policy of double punishment and the support from the community. We will have 2 minutes for each speaker, and then we will be followed by a 15-minute question period from media. Please save your questions till the end. Following this, we will be delivering letters to the Minister of Immigration and Citizenship and the Minister of Public Safety, Deepan Budlot. I will ask each speaker to come to the mic. So first I will invite to the mic Deepan Budlakoti to talk about his story and the difficulties of everyday life.
Good morning. I'm born in Canada. I've lived here my whole life. I have a Canadian passport. I have a birth certificate. This is my home. This is my family. I went to school here. I work here. I pay my taxes here. It's a double standard that I was young. I made a mistake. Now I'm getting double punishment. I paid a bitter price. I spent my time in prison. My experiences were hard for me. I did my time. I finished my sentence. Unlike most others, they get in trouble with the law, and they get free. They pay their time to the society. Now I'm facing deportation from my home. India is not my country. Canada, the Canadian government is trying to deport me to a country where I never lived. I have few ties. I'm not a citizen under Indian law. I never became a citizen of India. Deporting me to India is equivalent to deporting Chris Alexander, the immigration minister, to Scotland. Just because his family came from Scotland, it's absurd. Because Canada has stripped me from my status, and India is rarely refusing to allow me that Canada can deport me to India, I have no access to social services. I can't work. My work permit was held. I got my work permit recently from federal court with a mandamus application, and now I'm dealing with strict conditions from 9 to 9. The situation is indefinite detention based on the fact that India has stated that I'm not an Indian national, has stated this from the get-go. And for all these reasons, I'm asking the Canadian government to reinstate my status without delay so I can move on with my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepan. Now we will ask to the mic Peter Stieda to talk about the groundbreaking evidence that is recent in Deepan's case, as well as other legal developments.
Good morning. So this new information that we have regarding Mr. Budley's ongoing immigration matter involves a letter from the former High Commissioner of India at the time of Deepan's birth. Deepan was originally issued a deportation order because he fell under provisions of the Citizenship Act, which set out if one is born of parents who are employees of a foreign government, they are not eligible to be, that child is not eligible to be a citizen of Canada. We've received a letter, and I just received that yesterday, from the former High Commissioner, setting out that Deepan's father, Mr. Budlakoti's father, was working as a domestic help with the High Commissioner in Ottawa until June 1989, In other words, Deepan's father was no longer working for the High Commissioner at the time of Mr. Budlakoti Jr.'s birth. He does not fall under the provisions of the Citizenship Act. This is a letter that's provided by somebody who would know, because he was the employer of Mr. Budlakoti's father prior to the birth of my client, of Mr. Budlakoti. Mr. Budlakoti is now stateless. India is refusing to provide him travel documents, rightfully so, because he is a Canadian citizen. Deepan, Mr. Budlakoti, he has informed just now of the situation that he faces, the situation that he lives every day as a result of his current state of statelessness. So given this new important development, we're asking the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration and Public Safety as well to do the right thing and provide Mr. Budlakoti with citizenship status in Canada. He has the authority to do so under Section 5(4) of the Citizenship Act. The Minister of Citizenship and Immigration has the authority to provide Mr. Budlakoti with citizenship. We also request that all conditions for his release under immigration conditions be lifted. At the present time, Mr. Budlakoti is under a number of very strict conditions, including a curfew. This can continue indefinitely. Deepan realistically faces a life ahead of him of a strict curfew, having to live at a particular address. It makes no sense. It's an untenable situation that must immediately be addressed. We, as Mr. Budlakoti's legal team, will continue to actively pursue all legal remedies to protect Deepan's rights here in Canada. Puis, j'invite les membres de la presse de poser des questions en français à la fin. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Next, we will ask to the mic Harry Gadban, Eastern Ontario Director for the Canadian Trade Union Unifor, which is a recent merger of Communications, Energy and Paper Workers and the Canadian Auto Workers Union, to speak on solidarity from workers and unions and from the community here in Ottawa.
Thank you. Unifor was created about 2.5 weeks ago, and it's the biggest private sector union in Canada with over 300,000 members, representing about more than 20 sectors of the economy. And we believe that it's fundamentally flawed and unfair to punish immigrants twice for the same thing. This policy has resulted in the deportation of workers who have lived in Canada for decades, and in some cases for all of their lives. And in the case of Brother Deepan, he was born in Canada, he's a Canadian, he ought to be treated better than he has been. Deepan, it seems that when you send people from their homes, you send them to a place where they have never been, they have never lived. It sends a message to a lot of other Canadians that there is something wrong with our society when we take a look at this situation and say we're going to send somebody to some place where they have never been. You send them to places where they have lower labor standards, where they have lower safety standards for workers. Deepan has a curfew, and I think he said from 9 to 9. With our job situation, our economic situation in Canada, that limits the amount of work that he can do, even though he had to wait for a permit to be able to work. A lot of jobs that we have these days are precarious jobs, are jobs that are on either a rotating schedule where people need to be able to work early in the morning and late into the evening, and I think it just limits the work that he can do. It's outrageous and totally unacceptable that Deepan is being kept in limbo. It's deplorable treatment, and Deepan's case is not isolated. This is not the first time that the government has scapegoated poor racialized individuals to deflect attention from the state of our economy and their government's unpopular policies. For these and many other reasons, we are calling on Minister Blaney to immediately end the deportation proceedings, and against Deepan and the Minister Alexander to restore Deepan's citizenship, which they unfairly took away. He's born in Canada. He's a Canadian. He deserves to be treated as a Canadian. Anything else is totally unacceptable.
Next, we will ask to the mic Stan Kupferschmidt, who is a member of the Justice for Deepan Support Committee, and he will be speaking about the systematic, racist, and unjust policy of double punishment, as well as about the letters we are delivering today and the growing support from community members across the country.
So the Justice for Deepan Support Committee was formed to support our friend Deepan in his quest to have his citizenship restored. We stand with him as he fights to remain in Ottawa and reject the unjust and racist policy of double punishment that seeks to dehumanize and throw our friends and families out of our community and country. Growing support for Deepan across the country from Ottawa to Vancouver is proving that there is resounding support asserting Deepan is a valued member of our community and that a growing number of individuals and groups stand with him as he fights to remain in his homeland. The victory of Deepan's work permit is a clear example that we will continue to make gains in the struggle for Deepan's citizenship in spite of a racist and jingoistic government that continues to be unwilling to rectify the wrongs they have carried out against him. On August 23rd, we appealed to Minister of Parliament Pierre Poilievre's office in the riding of Nepean-Carleton, the very constituency riding where Deepan has lived his entire life. After 2 visits to the MP and 3 other attempts to contact him, Mr. Poilievre shamefully refused to meet with him and sent us nothing but a diminutive email that shrugged off any responsibility in addressing his constituents' plight. In an attempt to remedy this situation, as of last week, Deepan has contacted all 304 Ministers of Parliament across Canada, all 105 members of the Senate, all members of Ottawa City Council, and the Governor-General, requesting them to intervene and pressure the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration and Minister of Public Safety to do what is right. In these letters today, which are provided in your press kits, we are calling on Chris Alexander, Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, to immediately intervene and fully reinstate Deepan's Canadian citizenship status. As Immigration Minister, Mr. Alexander has the unilateral power to do so, and we call on him to come here now and accept our letter and this demand. Similarly, we call on Deepan Budlot, the Minister of Public Safety, to immediately intervene and indefinitely terminate Mr. Budlakoti's deportation order and remove the strict conditions which have been imposed on him. Both these ministers have been contacted on multiple occasions and are very well aware of Deepan's plight, yet are not willing to move to rectify the wrongs they have carried out against him that have rendered this man stateless. Certainly, with the growing support for him across the country and in light of the groundbreaking news that Deepan is indeed born in Canada, we urge both ministers to act without delay.
Thank you, Stan. Now we will have about a 15-minute question period, so I invite any media to offer questions to any of our speakers.
From Mr. Stieda, is it? Why did it take this long to clarify the dates as to the employment of his father in working for the High Commission?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I know that Deepan, he's been making this request to the Indian High Commissioner for the longest time. The detention review, or excuse me, the admissibility hearing, which took place in the decision was made in December 2011. At that time, we were pursuing that. It's only until now that we received that. We did have a witness at the detention review who was able to confirm that Mr. Budlakoti's father, Chandra Budlakoti, traveled with his new employer, who was not a staff member of the High Commissioner, to Boston. So in June of 1989, in other words, before Mr. Budlakoti's, when Deepan was born,